chisels are used to cut, chip, or remove metal, to do special work, and to roughly remove extra material. They are usually forged from 8-sided tool steel, hardened and tempered at the cutting edge, and are made tough at the head to withstand heavy blows. The size of a chisel is usually referred to by the distance between the opposite sides of the stock from which the chisel is made. For instance, this 3/4 inch chisel measures 3/4 of an inch. Cold chisels are classified according to the shape of their points. The most common types are the flat chisel, the Cape chisel, the diamond point chisel, and the round nose chisel. The cutting edge is formed by grinding to the proper angle. The flat sides of the cutting edge may be called bevels. The bevels should be uniform and make equal angles to the center line. The included angle between bevels should be 70 degrees for general purpose work. The flat chisel will work better on most jobs if ground with a slightly rounded cutting edge. Here are 2 chisels, both correctly ground. The one on the right, having a rounded or slightly convex cutting edge, has less tendency to gouge the surface, being chipped or chiseled. This type of cutting edge puts the strain on the center of the tool. When a blow is delivered to the head of the chisel, the impact is taken at the center, where there is more material to stand the strain. Like all cutting tools, chisels must be kept sharp. Sharpening is usually done on a fairly coarse grinding wheel. The simplest way is to hold the chisel so that you will grind the proper cutting angle and move it slowly back and forth across the face of the wheel. Do not hold the chisel too firmly against the wheel, or it will become heated and lose its hardness. Dip it frequently in water to keep it cool. A common fault is to grind the cutting edge at too sharp an angle. Such a point will dull quickly or will break. Remember that the ideal 70-degree cutting edge is nearer to a right angle than to half a right angle. In grinding, remove as little material as possible to get the correct edge. A chisel is hardened only about 1 inch above the point. When the head of a chisel becomes mushroomed, it should be dressed. A mushroomed head is dangerous because pieces are likely to fly off, causing injuries. There is also a tendency for the hammer to slip if the chisel head is mushroomed. In grinding a mushroom chisel head, roll the chisel in your fingers as you move it slowly back and forth across the face of the wheel. It is always well to taper the end slightly, for then it is less likely to mushroom. Now let's begin one of the most common jobs for which chisels are used, the operation of chipping. If the work has finished surfaces, as in this case, put soft jaws on the vise to prevent marring. Secure the work firmly in the bench vise. If necessary, use packing blocks to support the material so that it will not slip downward from the force of the blow. Grasp the body of the chisel with the fingers clasped around it so that the head end extends slightly above the hand. The thumb and forefinger should be relaxed. In this position, should the hammer slip, the blow will be absorbed without serious injury. If the chisel is held too high, it will dig too deep. If held too low, it will slip. Held at the proper angle, note that the lower beveled surface of the cutting edge is parallel to the work. Grasp the hammer near the end of the handle so that it can be swung with an easy forearm movement. Watch the cutting edge, not the head end of the chisel. In this way, the cut can be controlled. With a little practice, you can soon acquire the knack of striking the head of the chisel without looking at it. It is good practice to begin chipping at the outer edges of the job and work toward the middle. This method prevents tearing and breaking the edges and the corners. Always chip toward the solid jaw of the vise, never toward yourself. Not all work can be done with a flat, cold chisel. For example, in cutting this narrow keyway, a cape chisel is used. It is shaped to give the greatest strength possible with the narrowest cutting edge. The round nose chisels are shaped to a round or half-round point. They are used for cutting various sized oil grooves. They are also used for chipping round inside corners. And round nose chisels may be used for chipping hollow surfaces. The diamond point chisels are shaped to a diamond-like point. They are principally used for cutting V-shaped grooves and for cutting sharp, square corners. Here are some points to remember while chipping. Never use a dull chisel. Always keep it properly sharpened. As you can see, the chisel with a sharp edge shears metal off, while the dull chisel pushes the metal. Never take too deep a cut. 1/16 to 3/32 of an inch is enough. The chisel is less likely to break, the cutting edge will stand up longer, and more metal will be removed in a given time. Instead of keeping the edge of the chisel constantly against the chip, some mechanics draw it back slightly every 2 or 3 blows. This eases the hand, gives better control, and a better cut. Of course, the chisel edge is again placed at the cut before the next hammer blow is struck. When chipping steel, it is advisable to lubricate the cutting edge of the chisel with light machine oil. This will preserve the point and make the chisel last longer. One good way to put a large hole in a thin sheet of metal is to use a cape chisel and place the material on a heavy steel plate. Cut fairly close to the line. This way, you leave few rough edges and little material to be filed. To shear off a strip of metal, clamp it in a vise and use a flat chisel. Applying the chisel at the jaw of the vise gives a shearing action, which helps the cut. If you are going to work near someone who is chipping, always place a chipping guard so that you will not be injured by flying bits of metal. The most important thing to remember when chipping, grinding, or when working near someone who is chipping or grinding is always wear goggles. Better to wear goggles while you can see than to wear dark glasses when you can't see.